Welcome to the learning module on safety for line break. Let us understand what is line break. Line break definition and examples. Line break, physical opening or breaking a part of a process system which contains or is suspected to contain hazardous or unknown material. Opening cleared or unclear lines or equipment by action that may include but not limited to the following. Opening a process system valve to atmosphere, breaking flange connections, breaking pipe joints, removing one or more bolts from flanges, flange bolt servicing, removing valve bonnet, removing non-return valves, removing or turning spectacles, plates, blinds, slip plates, plugs, caps, opening inspection ports, disconnecting, loading or unloading hose connections, disconnecting instrument tubing, penetrating a line by mechanical or other means. Let us understand importance of line break process by these line break incidents. Example exposure scenario. The hose connection to the chlorine turner is being disconnected, but both the persons are not wearing job specific PPEs. During the disconnection of the hose from the chlorine turner, the trapped chlorine gas inside the hose got released and both the persons got exposed. Here point to note is that they were not wearing job specific PPE and it is very dangerous, unsafe behavior. Line break purpose. In petrochemical, refinery, chemical industries, there are a number of equipment, pipeline, etc. containing hazardous substances with energy, that is temperature, pressure, etc. During routine plant operations or during plant shutdown, need arises for equipment or pipeline opening for maintenance or inspection. It is required that the system being opened is free from hazardous substance, energy, or required controls are in place so that the hazardous substance and or its energy is contained safely for safe work. Further to the line break purpose, information on a management system establishing a method for the preparation and safe opening of process system, piping and equipment. This will help in creating safe working culture at the workplace and help to prevent exposure, injury to the personnel or damage to the property and or environment by the unexpected release of hazardous energy or material. Line break process steps. First step is job planning, that is PPE selection and usage, barricading, control of people. Second step is isolation and LOTO. Third step is system preparation. Fourth step is job execution. And fifth step is job turnover. Line break step, job planning. Job planning is a written document containing specific identification of the hazards and control mechanism, that is risk assessment or task risk assessment, a description of the PPE to be used, when to wear and when to remove, isolation, clearing and flushing plans which may include isometric drawings describing identification of valve to close, location to drain and the lockout points, the specifications for and duties of a standby person where appropriate, contingency plans if a single isolation device is used or if unprotected personnel and or the environment are potentially exposed, control of entry to the area affected by the line break, barricading if required. Further to the line break step, job planning. In other words, job plan is properly filled permit to work with detailed risk assessment or task-based risk assessment, clearly mentioning when to wear or when to remove specific PPEs and drawing indicating the location of isolation and lockout tagout. Requirements of barricading if necessary recommended in RA, TBRA or plan, contingency plan if required. Properly defined job procedure, example SOP SMP. In case SOP SMP are used as job plan, ensure SOP SMP are reviewed and in compliance with mandatory requirement of policy and procedure. Proper training and refresher training of concerned personnel or the SOP SMP and documentation of the same. This is the process of Task-based risk assessment. Line break step, isolation and LOTO. LOTO, that is lockout tagout, is the system is to be isolated properly as per the job plan. Provisions of lockout tagout as per the LOTO procedure. Requirements of barricading if necessary, recommended in risk assessment or task-based risk assessment or plan. Contingency plan if required. Key elements to ensure proper isolation. Provision of blanks or blinds in documents for easy identification. Tagging of these blanks or blinds in document for easy identification. Ensure all walls within the isolated condition in open condition. This helps to remove trapped material from system and line clearing. Isolation of secondary energy sources like steam, tracing, or electrical heating system if available. Further to the line break step, isolation and LOTO. For example, while working on an exchanger, isolation and clearing of shell and tube side is required. While working on shell side, if tube side is not isolated, in case of leakage of tube side material may appear in shell side. Various type of isolation from the most protective to the least protective is as follows. Double block and control bleed. Block wall and blank or blind flange. Double block walls. Single block walls. Engineering process plug, that is solidifying the process. The use of control walls is discouraged. If control walls are used for isolation, specific procedure for maintaining isolation with these walls shall be in place. Further to the line break step, isolation and LOTO, the degree of isolation depends on the hazards of the material being isolated, the configuration of the piping system, the frequency of the line break, the added risk of leaks from additional isolation valves, the experience gained from past line breaks. This is normally considered while designing a system, and first 2 points are being considered while job plan, that is SOP SMP. Where work on hazardous system is to be performed behind a single blocking wall, the line break permit or procedure shall indicate how the hazard is to be mitigated, including worst case scenarios and contingency plans. When breaking into systems and or equipment containing hazardous processes, all work after initial line break has been completed should be performed behind double isolation if PP is to be removed. Example of hazardous material and process energy trapped inside the pipeline. The sludge in the pipeline or equipment may release hazardous vapors, and these trapped vapors may create pressure within the isolated portion of the pipeline, which is very dangerous situation and may get released into the atmosphere and cause injury to the people during the line break. Line break system preparation. The system shall be properly prepared before any line breaks are made on any system. The first break does not always verify that the system or equipment is free from hazards. Hot liquids that cool to solid can create special problem is gases, and hot liquids are trapped between solidified plugs which can then blow out. Key elements for proper system preparation include the following. Levels of cleanliness shall be established and verified. Chemical hazards should be cleaned until the hazards are eliminated. Line break system preparation. Where it cannot be demonstrated that a system is cleared, specific written procedure shall be in place to eliminate or control the hazards. If cleaning cannot be accomplished as expected, the job shall be stopped and the following steps shall be performed. Replan, document, authorize and communicate the specifications for and duties of a standby person where appropriate. Contingency plans if a single isolation device is used or if unprotected personnel and or the environment are potentially exposed. Control of entry to the area affected by the line break, barricading if required. Line break, job turnover. A specific review of the job scope and plan shall be held for preparing, opening and returning to service processes or equipment that contains hazards. This review shall be done before the work begins and again after it is completed, and shall be between the personnel who prepared the system or equipment for work and those who are to work on it. This review shall include information on safety, health and environment issues. Further to the line break step, job turnover. Key elements of job turnover reviews shall include the following: providing information on isolation, location, the clearing and verification methods used and equipment status. Communicating system or equipment status to work being performed. Communicating and understanding the hazards of residual material in the equipment. Providing written turnover to address shift-to-shift communication involving all agencies when jobs span more than one shift to complete. Verifying the system or equipment is ready for return to operations through specific turnover. Documenting turnover and incorporating specific sign-off of all parties involved. Line break step, job execution. Key elements of job execution should include the following: clear identification where the line break is to be made, a barricade or properly cordon off area that adequately protects people not involved in the line break from a sudden and unexpected release of the hazardous material. When job condition affecting safety, health and environment differ from the expected, that example, the drain valve is plugged or the line cannot be cleared, the job shall be stopped and re-evaluation and a new job plan developed. Key elements for addressing the unexpected shall include the following: tasks shall be re-evaluated with the same level of thought as the original plan. Approval for the new job plan shall be at least at the same level as approval for the original job plan. Personnel performing the task shall understand the job plan and what to expect to enable them to recognize when the unexpected occurs. Line break process do's and don'ts. Do's: be aware of all sources of hazardous energy in your work area like steam, electrical energy, mechanical energy, etc. Identify line break implemented at your workplace. Be aware of the fact that the hazardous energy under the line break can cause serious harm to individual who enters the hazard zone. Line break process don'ts. Do not attempt line break without authorization. Do not attempt to remove locks and or tags without authorization. Do not enter into barricaded zones. Do not assume concerned area to be safe because line break is implemented. Continue to take all precautions and use all required PPEs. PPEs, last line of defense, but very much essential for the personal protection. People working into the hazardous area shall wear job-specific PPEs and required personal protection. Remember, prevention is better than cure. Thank you for watching.